Hi, good afternoon, guys. I apologize that I got late. I do have a good excuse. We left Flat Oak. I see, I'm half asleep. We left Oak Flat in Arizona at about 8 o'clock last night. So we got back into Denver, Colorado today around about 10 o'clock, and I'm heading out of here today back towards Wichita, Wichita City in Kansas. So I had promised my guest today that we'd get a chance to get together and do an interview. So on the way back, I gave her a call and said, "Hey, have you got a bit of time?" So we put this together at the last minute. So I put the time together, and I apologize it's late, but I see there's already 300 of you, 350 of you out there, which is fantastic. So as you're coming in, if you can share this, because this is going to be really fantastic, because we're going to be talking about a few different things here today, and I'm really honored to have the chance to share this lady with you and her journey and where she's come from and what she's doing, because she's an amazing activist right here in Denver and is looking for people to get involved with them as well. So today my guest is Molly Ryan Kills Enemy, and she's a full-blood Chikungu Lakota. Did I get that right?
Good job.
So can you tell people a little bit about where you grew up and how you came to be where you are today?
So my name is Molly Ryan Kills Enemy, and I'm a full-blood Sichanku Lakota from Rosebud Reservation in St. Francis, South Dakota. I was adopted out of my family and my tribe at 1 week old, and so I was raised by a non-native family my whole life. And about 10 years ago, I found my birth family.
Wow.
And so it was, my whole life has just been this crazy journey of, it's been a lot of trauma in my life. And so I'm also a survivor of domestic violence and rape and sexual abuse. And I also walk that red road recovery of meth addiction and alcoholism. And so I've been clean from meth for 11 years.
Wow,
clean
that's
from
amazing.
alcohol. Yeah. So clean from alcohol for 10 years. So I'll be having anniversaries this year. It's been just this crazy, amazing journey. I mean, just, a lot of sadness, a lot of grief, but I've learned to heal from those. I talk about our intergenerational traumas because I've had a lot of people in my life who have taught me. They have reminded me that I suffer from my ancestors' atrocities. I suffer from those traumas. And I've also been taught that I suffer from both my mothers, my birth mother, the one who gave me life, and the one who raised me. I suffer from their traumas, but I have also carried the beauty that they carry. And so I've learned, I talk about this healing I had, and it was very powerful because when I started this healing journey, I was reminded, or I was told that this journey would open doors that I never thought I would experience. And it's just continual beauty and learning as I walk my journey, my healing journey, and it never ends. It just continues. And it's my choice to continue healing or to stay in the traumas, to stay in the memories. And so I choose to stay out of the pain and the agony. So instead of covering everything up like I did most of my life through drugs and alcohol, and for searching for someone to love me, I've had to learn that someone was me. And so it's very powerful and beautiful to walk this journey and to stand up and to let people know, because a lot of times we don't know what these emotions are that we're feeling, and we stay in that. We stay stuck. And we don't have to. We don't have to do that.
No.
Which is so powerful and so beautiful, because you heal, you learn these things as you walk your journey, and you can pass that on. And for me, that's very powerful. To be able to pass on what I've learned from my own journey to others. And I think you heard me talk the other night about I have this passion for women, and it's because I understand the abuse, and I understand trying to cover up all the traumas from my memories and from my own traumas. I've tried to cover those up through the substance abuse. And it's really... I come from a matriarchal tribe, and I've been taught that our voices, we're the backbone, and we used to be the voices of our tribe. And through colonialism and genocide, we've lost that. We've lost our voices. We lost that power. And when we think of power, a lot of us think it's the kind of power that, we have power over people or over situations, but it's not that. It's the power that comes from within. It's that empowerment, and we've lost that. Our voices have been silent. They've been silenced through. So we come from the earth. We're born of Anshimaka. And so I've learned that I heal through the earth. And that's just been probably in the last 5 years since I left an abusive relationship. I've learned that my family and I, we heal. That's how we heal. And I've also learned that we come from Anshimaka. The water for women is sacred because that represents the womb. And so as these pipelines and everything has happened, kind of mushroomed in the last couple of months, I'm seeing this deep sense of people remembering that we connect with the earth. We connect with the water. We go there to heal. And it's not just for my family, but it's for all people. It's all women who are sacred. It's not just the Native women. It is all women who are sacred because we're the life givers, and Anshimaka is the life giver as well. And so we talk about these pipelines and the man camps that come in. And a lot of people aren't aware of the man camps and what happens when these man camps come in. And so we talk about the raping of our earth, our mother, Anshimaka. We talk about that a lot. But we don't understand that there's a connection with these type of man camps come in. That comes with sex trafficking. There's a high percentage of women, our indigenous women, who go missing and are murdered with these man camps, and they're also sex trafficked out. And so that runs in alignment with the raping of our earth. It's the raping of our women.
So for people who are out there, don't know what man camps are or haven't heard that term, what specifically are you referring to?
It's the pipeline workers, that type of industry. I hate labeling, but it's the type of mentality, the type of thinking that you can just offer a woman for sex. You can offer her money for sex, and I don't even know the percentage. I've been told that the percentage here in the United States is astounding. It's just, they don't have a set statistic because the missing and murdered women are just, I've been told the number is astounding. They can't keep track of the statistics, is what I've been told. And for me, I have 2 daughters, and they should not, that shouldn't have to be our way of life, to worry. If these pipelines come in, we shouldn't have to be worrying about our daughters, ourselves. That shouldn't be our way of life. Our way of life should be that none of this stuff that comes in with these pipelines shouldn't even be existent.
Right.
Our earth, our mother should not be raped by these pipelines. And so it's time that the women start rising. We start rising again, and we start coming together. I ask myself, how do we do this? How do we rise from this? How do we rise from the continual genocide and the continual colonialism? And for me, like I've in my own personal journey, I've had to go through a lot of pain to understand that I'm not going to continue these cycles. I'm not going to continue the cycles of abuse. I'm not going to pass that down to my girls or to my boys. I'm not going to pass that down, because right now we're going to start with a different life. And the best way I can do that is to lead by example. Yeah. And that's to show my kids, what it is to fight. What it is to fight for the earth. What it is to fight for people. And I just have to keep walking that walk, because I don't want that pain for my children or the ones who are in my life. I don't want that for them. I don't want that pain. I don't want them to feel that desperation and that fear of, we shouldn't have to live like that. We should be living in beauty. We should be walking in beauty. Najani is the word. The Dene word is Najani, and that means walking in beauty, and you walk in prayer. And as we continue this fight, I don't use the word struggle, because when I think of the word struggle, I feel like, like I can't get up, but we can get up. We can get up. It's just, you have to keep doing it. It's like a process. And I have taken a class or a training, and I always hear one of the ladies that was one of the leaders always saying, change is a process. And I know that change can be painful, but what lies beyond the change and the pain is just beauty. There's just so much beauty out there from healing.
Absolutely. If we could, I personally have a history with addiction, and coming from that background, and I know for me there was a particular point where, they call it you hit the bottom. For you, what was there some particular catalyst that made you kind of flip from continuing down that same path, doing those same actions and getting the same results, to changing things around? What was it for you?
Mine was, I lost one of my kids. I lost them to my drug abuse. So they're being raised by another family. He has another mother. But the blessing that came out of that is that I still see that child. I got clean. I changed my life around. There were a lot of things that led up to that. Losing that child, and then suffering from that pain so much that I tried to end my own life. And I was still drinking at that point. So it was a slow, painful process, but I got to the point where I still see my child. I can still hold him and tell him I love him. And I prepare for that day when he asks me what happened. Why are you not with me? How come I'm not in your care? And I rehearse it. I know it will be a painful moment, but I also know that being able to be in his life and to see him grow and to just be an encouragement, and showing him that I'm not that mom. I'm not the mom who was doing everything she could to get her fix. I'm not that person anymore. And so I think, there's probably one or two people in our community that knew me way back then. And I'm so grateful for them because they've always been standing. You don't think that a lot of people that you think that you're walking this journey alone. And there's just been this reality this realization that's hit me in the last month that 4 people who knew me back then are still standing with me. They're still there. They're still guiding me. They're still talking to me. They're still in my life. And it was some of those people in that church or that building that you were in the other night. And so, you just, when you begin this healing journey, you're grateful. You're grateful for so much. You just learn that. It's just, you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my God, you're like, you have that breath of life. And, it's just, some mornings I wake up and I'm singing. That's just how I wake up. Other mornings I'm like, oh, I just want to stay in bed. But I always remember that I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful that I have my children with me. Just so much that you're grateful for when you start this healing journey and walking that red road.
Yeah, I think touching on what you mentioned earlier regarding you're kind of lost. It's when you're in that struggle with addiction and when you're in that ocean of pain, you do feel like you're the only person. You don't realize how many other people are suffering from those same things, and it's only when you start to come out of that fog that you start to realize that your story really isn't, in my sense, that story isn't that special. There are so many people that are going through the same thing, and as you connect with those people, you hear those stories, and they may be slightly different stories, but they've all got the same theme. And one thing I learned through recovery was really how the real skill was how to love yourself, because you didn't love yourself when you were an addict. You did everything to destroy yourself, as you spoke about, with up to the point of talking about ending your life. And I know so many people that have been there, and people through the recovery rooms who have done that and who have lost many friends through that. So the fact you're sat here today is incredible, and it's so amazing because once you find that strength in yourself, there's so many of those people that go down that road that then suddenly become this beacon of light for everyone else, just like you are. And I mean, it's amazing to be sat here hearing your story. It really is.
Thank you.
It's so touching. So now that you've got that voice and you've recovered your voice and you've found that inside yourself, what are you doing with it?
I'm using it.
Yeah.
I'm marching the streets. I'm, with this Native community that we have in Denver, it's just, I've been through a lot of trainings. I've been through a lot of healing. I've been through it. It's just been awesome. But I use my voice. I use it to raise awareness. And whether it's standing on this Capitol steps, yelling and telling people, or it's marching through the streets and protesting at banks, or just marching the streets, and you know, it's someone told me, because I was saying the other day, I can be civilly disobedient, and their reply was, it can be empowering. And for me, it is empowering to use my voice for one of my passions. Is Anshimaka. And that's, I've talked to some people about it. And my heart, my heart is my children, but it also belongs to the earth and the water. And so I will always fight. I have moments where I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I'm so tired. I'm crabby. I'm grumpy. I've been doing all this stuff. And I just have moments where I'm like, oh, yeah, you can't do that. You can't stop. Why? How could you stop? How could you not fight for our earth, for what nourishes us, what's given us life? How can you not? How can people not fight for that? Because she's the one that gave us life. She's the one that provides us with the food, with the water, everything.
Right.
She provides for us. And so that's where, I guess where I get in this little fight with myself where I'm like, oh, no one cares. And I'm like, but they have to care. So you have to be out there and you have to fight and you have to, you have to be the one that's, and I have a lot of people, it just doesn't matter really what we're doing. It's that there's this group of people that have come into me and my kids' lives that, we haven't done an action for about a month now. And we're getting ready to do one next weekend.
Next weekend? Is that in Denver?
Next weekend in Denver.
All right.
We're going to visit a few of the banks, and we're going to honor them for listening to us. We're going to sing them songs that our ancestors passed down to us. And we're going to ask that they listen, that they hear us. Because they can listen to us, but we want them to hear us. And so, but there's just this group of amazing people that have just come within the community, and they're just so, they're just so loving, and it's just this awesome. I haven't been to Standing Rock, but I have always believed that all nations would start uniting. And I've seen it in dreams. And I get really emotional when I hear one of the men in our community talk about his dream, because I always thought that it was just me and I was crazy about seeing all nations coming together. And I heard him one night not too long ago, and I just sat and cried. Because I'm not the only one that thinks this, that sees this stuff, or that has dreams. And it's comforting to know that there are people out there who will have the same belief that all nations will come together. And our first huge walk we did in Denver, it was a lot of people. Mm-hmm. It was a ton of people that came. And it was so overwhelmingly beautiful for me to see everyone coming. And, we were at the Capitol and I was on the steps and I was supposed to be talking. And I was so overwhelmed with emotion I couldn't even talk. That's the first time that I've stood up and I've been like, and then the tears were trying to come through, and I was like, hey, I'm going to hold on. But it was just overwhelming. It was just beautiful seeing people like flocking up the lawn and the steps and just coming. And I was just looking around. I was like, whoa, This is amazing. This is amazing. This is what we need to continue this journey. Is the continual uniting of all nations.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we can't do it alone, and we can't do it against each other. It has to be in unity. And I like what you mentioned regarding people's past traumas, whether it's personal traumas or whether it's traumas of your people or traumas of your family, and how that unless you get into those traumas and understand them and release them, you just continue to live out those same traumas again and again. And I think from a lot of what we see go on around the world, you look at that on a more global scale with how the wars happen and what the wars are over, and it kind of those cycles that repeat themselves because the governments do the same thing with the traumas of their nation and keep repeating those mistakes themselves. So it's really powerful that you found a way to release that and are helping other people do that.
It's empowering for me, and I think, you know, we've become a society where we shut our eyes. We shut our eyes, like, to the missing and murdered, and to abuse, and to substance abuse, and to homelessness, and to what's happened to our vets. We close our eyes. We're very good at closing our eyes and just kind of, okay, well, I can't, you know, and when I come around and I start talking about the missing and murdered, I see a lot of people, like, don't talk about that. But we have to. People have to know what's happening. And it's not just the Native women. It just happens that Native women it's 1 in every 3 women are abused or raped.
One in 3? Mm-hmm. Wow.
And the statistics, I'm sure, are higher. They're growing. And so I'm not going to be quiet. I'm not going to be quiet to comfort people, so, you know, to kind of put a Band-Aid on, because this is the truth. This is the truth of the Native people, of all, you know, people in abuse. It's the truth. And, you know, we can do this in a way that we don't close our eyes, but we start rising up and we start honoring those who have been murdered and go missing, but to also raise awareness. And that's what we're going to be doing next month, is we're going to be bringing the Sing Our Rivers Red, the SOAR exhibit, which is one earring which represents a missing and murdered indigenous woman. And so we're going to be bringing that to Chalk in our art district down on 8th and Santa Fe. And so we're going to have a month long of events happening, but that evening is February 3rd. And it's to raise awareness and to honor our women, because the exhibit will only be going throughout the end of this year, is what I've been told. And so we want people to start learning, you know, along with what these pipelines bring. Along with what the pipelines bring, you know, devastation, when they break, they'll affect the water. And then it seeps out. But also the other stuff, the more ugly stuff that people don't want to face. You know, it's just, you know, a time to start rising up. Definitely. We keep rising, and I keep saying that, but it's, you know, to heal from the stuff that I've gone through is like, I want other people to feel that, to know that, to be on that side, and to not stay on the side where, you know, you're always walking with a fear, or you're always walking with anger and sadness, because that's not what we were meant to be. We weren't meant to be on the earth for that reason. We were meant to be in unity together. And so, to walk in this powerful healing is just, like I said, some days I wake up and there's just these songs that are in my head, and I just wake up and I'm singing. And that's how most of my life is. Everything could be coming down all around me, and I'm still like, still singing, and it's a beautiful way to be.
It's always a choice, isn't it?
It is always a choice.
And a lot of people never learn that in their life, that they have that choice in every moment. They really can choose how they can't choose what happens to them, but they can choose how they choose to react to it.
Right.
No one can ever make you feel anything. You have that. You can have that power to choose what you feel. Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure there's some people out here watching right now that have, maybe want to do something in their own area. Maybe have suffered from abuse. Would you be open to take a few questions and see if anyone out there has anything that they would like to ask? Hi, Linda. Thanks for joining us. So just wait for the questions to pop up. Hi, Joy.
Someone asked a minute ago where the event was in Denver. Again, I thought it was you.
Oh.
Okay, so someone wants to know where the event is in Denver. So whereabouts in Denver where can people find out about this stuff? Because it's all right us kind of telling it, and if someone can type this in as we're going, that would be great. But is there a place on Facebook or a website where they can find it?
I created a page.
Yeah.
Right after that first huge march, and so it's changed a couple of names a couple of times, and I think we're gonna stick with Denver Stands in Solidarity as Earth Defenders and Water Protectors.
Oh, you picked you picked a short one. All right, so Denver Stands in Solidarity with Earth Defenders and Water Protectors.
Yes.
All right.
.com?
No, it's a Facebook group, I think.
Yes. Yes.
So that's a Facebook group, so you can look for a Facebook group.
And then, so the missing and murdered...
Kerry said, sorry to stop you, Kerry said something about Santa Fe. Did you mention Santa Fe for the
Santa Fe and 8th Avenue in Denver, Colorado.
So Santa Fe and 8th Avenue, Denver, Colorado, and that's where the art district is, and that's where they were having the art exhibitions to remember the missing and murdered.
And to raise awareness. So we'll be also doing a women's walk from Four Winds, American Indian Council, to CHOC. CHOC is the Chicano Hispanics Arts Council. It's almost right on the corner of 8th and Santa Fe. But that will be that will open on February 3rd.
And I'm sorry you keep seeing my finger go across the screen. There's not a better way of doing this. I might have the phone upside down, I don't know. So... Someone's asking, the power of choice is important, but we also need to be educated with the tools of what those choices are, and like how we find those tools and where. Can you kind of share? I think what they're getting at is how does someone that's watching this and maybe is in a situation, maybe they're going through their own battle with addiction. What particular tools did you find? Where did you go for help, and what was it that gave you that power back?
Well, mine was, like I said, I lost my son, and then I tried to end my life. And then I was sent, I was legally, like, through the courts, I was sent to rehab.
Was that an in-house rehab or inpatient rehab?
I was supposed to be there for quite a few months, but I ended up graduating. And... I had a job. I had numerous jobs when I first graduated, and a lot of it was because 6 months after I graduated, I was eligible to work where I got sober. And so I worked there for a year and a half. And then from there, I overlapped another job, and I worked with the homeless women. And so I worked with the homeless women for a year and a half after that. So I kept myself safe. I kept, I made sure that I was surrounded by people who had been in the same situation, who were walking towards that beautiful journey.
Right.
And, my story was a little bit, I was still in a domestically violent relationship. And so it was hard for me to be walking that red road, because in the back of my mind when I first got sober was I was going to drink again. I was going to drink. I was just going to let social services get out of my life long enough that they would not be involved again. So in the back of my mind, I always walked with that, yeah, you're going to drink again, but I haven't. And it's because I don't like, once I started getting out of that, out of those behaviors and realizing that I would rather suffer 5 minutes of pain than the whole lifetime that I suffered.
Right.
And so it's better for myself when something happens, I work through that pain. I work through that anger rather than being stuck. When I get frustrated, and it's usually when I'm tired, when I get frustrated, I get stuck. And then I have to sit up and be like, okay, what is it? What's your problem? Why are you crying around? Why are you, why is everything affecting you in this way? And so I have to take it. I mean, when I say I have to, I don't like that feeling.
I don't think anyone does.
Don't like
no one
that
likes that feeling.
And so, I want to get out of that feeling quick. Because I think I'm afraid. I think I'm afraid if I stay too long, that I'm going to go back to old behaviors. And I don't want that.
Right.
And so it's just been, the day I lost my son, I even look back at that as a blessing, because I had to get on the bus when I said goodbye to him, take an hour and a half bus ride back into Denver, and have a Christmas party with the rest of my children.
Wow.
So I had to turn it around and walk in and be like, oh, I'm so happy to be here. But I wasn't. I was dying inside. And I had asked for a ride, if the agency could give me a ride into Denver, so I wasn't on the bus for so long. And they weren't able, and I wasn't wanting to sit around. And we had just sent him away with the foster family, and that was it. And so I got on the bus, and I was sobbing. I mean, I was, just, my body was just, and there was a great big black lady driver, and she's saying to me, she said, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. And I didn't think it was going to be okay. I thought I was done. And she just, when I put my money in the thing, she put her hand on mine and she started singing. She sang all the way to my next stop. And the foster mother, she was always really good about making books for me, photo books of him. And so I had a book. And I was sitting at that next stop, and I'm crying, and I'm just, my heart was breaking. And this man came up, and he put his hand like this, and he said, my sister, what's wrong? He said, is that your boy? And I said, yeah. And I couldn't really talk. I was crying so hard. And he stood there like this for a half an hour. And by the time I got onto the next bus, I had calmed down. I had two people in that those horrifying moments in my life. Thinking I'd never see my son again. and and today, I look back and they were there for a reason. Those two people were in my life for a reason, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful to have those. When you open that little door of healing, it kind of gets bigger and bigger, and you look back on your life and you're like, wow, they were there for a reason. That they were there to comfort me. They were there to carry me on to that next painful thing I had to do, is to pull myself together and walk into that room and be like, hey, and it was hard. It's hard to do that. People shouldn't have to do that. they shouldn't have to do that. And so it was just, it's those little things you look back and you're like, wow, they were supposed to be there.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be in my life right then. And so, that's what kind of keeps me going is those blessings. It's those continual blessings that you're more aware of. I have our winged animals, the hawks and the eagles, that always visit me and my kids. They're always with us. They fly with us when we go head out to the mountains. There are a couple of times they'll just fly right along the car, and my dragonflies are always with me. It's these little things that, we forget. We forget about them because we're so busy, worrying about this or worrying about that. And there's just been some powerful moments in my life. Not too long ago, it was in the summer. These have always been in my life. I've always been drawn to them.
Can we show?
And I came out of my parents' house. My dad had passed away, and we were with my mom. And I walked out, and there were millions in her yard. They weren't on the street. They weren't across the street at the pool. They weren't at the next door neighbor's house. They were all right there. And that's happened quite a bit since then. But it's those blessings. You look at them and you're like, they're here. They're sending a message. And that's what I love. And it's being up in the mountains. We'll climb these big hills, and you get to the top, and you, and that's how it is. I mean, that's just, you hear my babies in the back seat, and you can hear their little chattering. They sound like little chipmunks, but that's so beautiful. And that's just, it's those moments that you're like, God, thank God I'm alive. Like, this is so awesome. One of my friends was making fun of me. She was like, I can see you standing on the edge of a mountain and you got your fist in the air and you're yelling. La, la, la.
That's beautiful though.
But it's awesome. It's a beautiful way to live. Like, it's just,
Because you spent so many years not living. Effectively, you're either living or you're dying. In my eyes, and as an addict, you spend so many years dying. And you don't experience life, and you lose connection to everything. You lose connection to family, you lose connection to friends, you lose connection to nature, you lose connection to yourself. It's like you're a different person.
Yep.
So then when you rediscover that, hell yeah, you're on top of the mountain yelling. Why not? And you get that energy, and the people around you do the same thing, and that's what you're bringing to this fight for Mother Earth, and it's amazing. So I'm so grateful that you took the time to sit down with us today. You're such a beautiful person.
Thank you.
It's amazing. So thanks guys for joining us, and I'm sure we will come back on a live stream again another time. I can tell that's going to happen.
But,
so we'll keep up. Do follow along with what's happening in Denver. Get involved in any ways you can. And again, did you talk about the dates for the bank? We'll just finish with that.
Dates for the bank will be next Saturday in Cherry Creek North, starting at 10 a.m. So we usually give ourselves about a half hour, 20 minutes to gather, and then we'll head out. and then we'll, always plan for whatever can happen in between. So
Perfect. So next Saturday, 10:30, Cherry Creek.
yes,
And that's in what area is that?
it's in a very rich part of Denver. A
Lots
lot
of
of
banks.
money, lots of banks on just about every corner. So that's where we go.
Good place to take the message.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining. And please continue to share this, and I'll try and answer some of the other questions that have come through a little bit later on. So take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you.